Hello, everybody. I hope you guys are having an absolutely fantastic afternoon. I hope your hangovers are pretty good, and I hope you got your cup of coffee. I wonder what you guys did today. Today, we'll be talking about Palantir. We'll be doing a banger of a video. There was an article that came out by CNBC, but before I go any further, let me explain to you what I did today. I just came home with my son. He's just over a year old. This is his 1 year plus checkup. They gave him a couple of vaccines. Now I'm home. My girl is feeding my son. He's going to go to sleep in a little bit, and I'm going to have my first meal of the day due to intermittent fasting. That's my day today. Can you guys please share a little bit about your day so that I can get to know you a little bit better? Without further ado, let me get into this Palantir video. And if you guys need some free stocks, I have a link to Webull down below. And I did just start a new channel. It's a reactions channel. I'm going to leave the link down below. It's called Adam Bergman Reacts. This is not going to be specifically for finance. It's just going to be a very, very cool reaction channel that allows me to shine and show you guys more of my personality. This article came out by CNBC, How Palantir's Tech-Based Patriotism and Politics Grew into a Multi-Billion-Dollar Company. A lot of people ask me in the comments, Adam, we don't understand if Palantir is such a company, how come they're now bigger, And I think you guys got to understand the humble beginnings that Palantir actually started with compared to where they are now. And then you're going to understand the massive amounts of growth that Palantir did, that Palantir endured. You see, just like with anything in life, we tend to see the end results. We don't look back at what needed to be done to get there. We look at a very successful person and we just see a successful person, but we don't see the grit, determination, and growth over the years, nearly going bankrupt so many times in order to become a successful person. So that's why I'm going to be doing this article today. Key points of the article. Palantir, more than any other tech startup over the last few decades, has been closely tied to the government work, often secretive in nature. Its CEO, Alaex Karp, Dr. Alaex Karp, who co-founded the company with Peter Thiel, is an outspoken patriot and advocate for the U.S. technology in national defense. The CIA was an early investor in the company and intelligence agency, as well as the FBI and NASA are all clients, though Palantir has diversified into corporate work and diversified into big data across sectors, including healthcare. Now, there's a small clip, a small video. I don't want to play the whole thing. It's over 4 minutes long, but this is Dr. Alaex Karp talking to CNBC approximately a month ago, if I'm not mistaken, and he was talking about the possibility of nuclear war. He then went on to do a couple of other interviews, and he says, listen, I don't think the world understands how absolutely close we are to nuclear warfare. And now Putin is kind of swinging that tactical nuclear weapon. If you guys don't back down, there's going to be a nuclear weapon, nuclear attack, so on and so forth. And people used to laugh at Dr. Alaex Karp. People used to be like, yo, you don't know shit. You're over-exaggerating. You're playing the doom and gloom card. Well, all of a sudden, lo and behold, he's not just talking shit. And he's not just exaggerating. He's not just a crazy person with crazy hair. He's actually a pretty smart dude who's been protecting our civil liberties and our rights to exist in America. So the next time you complain in public, and that's okay, just remember, America gives you the rights to complain in public. And those rights don't exist in every single country. You don't realize what you have until it's taken away from you. I just want to play you a quick clip.
He says he's not bluffing when he says he's going to use all means to defend Russia, including potentially using nuclear weapons. Joining us right now to talk about this and Putin's nuclear threat is Alaex Karp, CEO and co-founder of Palantir. And the last time we saw you in Aspen and prior to that in Davos, in some ways you called this in terms of this potential threat. So where are we really at this point?
Well, it was a pleasure to talk to you then and a pleasure to talk to both of you now. When we were talking about the reality that nuclear weapons are on the table 3 and 2 months ago, of course, that was derided. The general belief I had just comes from building a software business and seeing software in action in war, where software plus heroism can really slay the giant. And I know the Russians just underestimated the power of kinetic plus software plus heroism. And then I believe it's a zero-sum game in Russia, and there is no ability for Putin to lose. He can't just fail at war and then retire, which is what we're used to in democracy. Politicians fail and then we have another politician. And so the reason why I was sounding the alarm at Davos, and then again when we talked, to much derision, was simply this combination of American software, the way we build software, plus a kind of heroism that is very unusual, would outperform the giant of spend. And that leads to just this jarring reaction. And we don't want to believe in the West that people would be zero sum. We're not.
All right, like I said, I don't want to play you the entire clip because most people don't like that, but you hear what he said. So this is going to be the third time on record that he comes out and says, hey, there's a big possibility of nuclear war. Now, there's been a lot of different interviews where Dr. Alaex Karp essentially says, listen, Ukraine can win. We always knew that Russia was going to attack. We were one of the few, and we were pretty much the only ones that said Ukraine can win. Because although there's a deficit in military spending, military size, and perceived military might, once you take into a factor of software and bring into modern warfare, and when I say modern warfare, I mean warfare that most people have never seen before because it still does not exist. It's literally playing out before our eyes. Well, then you have the situation where Russia cannot win, but also Russia is backed into a corner, specifically Vladimir Putin, where he also can't lose because very much so it is a zero-sum game. In Russia, you can't really take a defeat like that because for Russia, it's always military might. So it's very interesting that he's been talking about this nuclear war, nuclear perception for such a long time. And that's one of the things that Palantir essentially does very, very well. They predict what's going to happen in the future. They're not predicting for right now or tomorrow. They're predicting for the future. And I truly believe that Palantir is the reason why Ukraine was able to prepare so well because America and her allies were in Ukraine at least half a year before Russia attacked. And I believe that it's due to Palantir. Of course, none of this financial advice, purely entertainment education. But if you dot together, right, if you just connect all the dots, you can obviously see what I'm talking about. In this weekly series, CNBC takes a look at companies that made an inaugural Disruptor 50 list 10 years later. Palantir is no stranger to politics. The data mining and software company got its start with government contracts, and 19 years since its inception, Palantir's government work is still central to its business. This is very, very important. I won't be reading this whole thing, but just this is important. I want you guys to hear this. At its start, Palantir's business came directly from the FBI, the NSA, and even the CIA, whose venture arm, In-Q-Tel, was one of the company's earliest backers. In-Q-Tel, if you don't know, it's the official CIA investment fund. It's a venture capitalist fund that has ties to the CIA, but completely independent and legally associated to a government branch. If that makes sense and you guys understand what I just said. CEO and co-founder Alaex Karp is a self-proclaimed American patriot. For Karp, data and defense are intertwined, and his company's contracts with government agencies reflect a commitment to leveraging technology to bolster the West. The company's earliest splash was reportedly helping to find Osama bin Laden over a decade ago, and this year, Palantir began to work with the Ukrainian military operations. All right, we have a company, Palantir. It's been around for 19 years. They've been calling all the right shots when it comes to military for quite a while now. They specifically was calling what's going to happen in Ukraine. They specifically were saying, hey, there's a real possibility of this nuclear war, this nuclear catastrophe, this nuclear incident, whatever you want to call it. And we got to prepare for it, and we got to get it right so that essentially we're all here, right? So the world doesn't go boom. People thought they were crazy. All of a sudden, they're not crazy. And they've been saying this for quite a while. 10 years ago, they helped find Osama bin Laden. All of a sudden, they're helping defend Ukraine, democracy, freedom, whatever you want to call it, no matter which side you're on. They're there. They are doing their part. Where do you think Palantir is going to go in 10 years from now? So first, they had the pinpoint accuracy to find Osama bin Laden in a cave that he was eluding the military for quite a while. Fast forward 10 years, they're solving the disproportionate problem between military might and military right? The military might of we're super strong and the military right of a smaller country like Ukraine able to defend themselves, defend their borders from an attack. Again, I'm not here to debate right, wrong, so on and so forth. Let's just think about it. from a business standpoint and where Palantir was, got to, is, and will be. Where do you think Palantir is going to be in 10 years from now? Help find this guy in a cave, help defend a country from the second, arguably strongest military in the world. Where do you think they're going to be in 10 years from now? They're going to be a freaking behemoth for me. Behemoth. And I think that they're going to grow. I think they believe from 19 years ago, they were $1 billion, and now they're a $16 billion company. Right now, they're a $16 billion company. And in 10 years from now, I believe that they're going to be minimum a $500 billion company. Minimum. Why? They're expanding their footprint in military. They're expanding their utility in military, and they're expanding their military dependence on Palantir. Let me explain how. There's a couple of hardware primes for the DoD, Department of Defense. What does that mean? Most contracts go to these are like the preferred vendors, contractors, and then they can sub out the work, but they're always making a piece. Palantir is trying to be the next prime, however, the one and only software prime. They already are, just not by name, right? They don't have that official title. When they get that official title, I believe that they're going to get a shit ton of additional ratings up. Okay, from analysts. 2, level 6, Impact 6 clearance for cloud with the DoD military amongst all branches. They're one of 3 companies, Microsoft and AWS, that has that. And for anybody that's going to say, oh, that's all you keep talking about, specifically for the trolls, I'm going to keep telling you, that's all I got to say. You have no argument anymore. There is nothing you can say if you hate on Palantir, because my answer for you is level 6, level 6, level 6, biatch. We got level 6 clearance. And unless you're Microsoft or AWS, you don't got that shit. And if you compare them, that's a $1.7 trillion company, $1.2 trillion company, whatever. They always fluctuate. Compared to Palantir, that's like a 16 or even 15 billion now because we got shellacked on Friday. Well, you could see the value of Palantir. Now, we did all of this pretty much on government alone. We're going to expand in government. We're hiring a shit ton of new employees throughout the world. First, it was only like the US. Then it was like US and UK. Then it was US, UK, and a couple of other nations that we're friendly with. Now, all of a sudden, you have dozens of nations, dozens of companies, all hiring Palantir Tech, Palantir Technology Managers, Palantir Technology Engineers, so on and so forth. We're just going to expand our ability. Remember, we have a product, right? A Palantir Foundry, Palantir Gotham, Palantir Apollo, Palantir Edge. Within those, we all have subsects, subcategories, so on and so forth. And they keep saying, listen, we're just going to keep building more things. Our TAM, total addressable market, keeps going up. That's why I truly believe in this company. You have a company that was invested in, literally, the government built Palantir. Well, what do you think is going to happen in 10 years from now? Is this world going to be safer than it is now? No. This world is going to shit. Every year is worse than the last. New type of threats, new type of technology, new type of so on and so forth, new type of dangers. We got to keep moving forward. We got to keep protecting. If Palantir is the only one that can do what they do on the largest scale possible, it's going to be impossible for somebody to catch up. And they are going to be locked in like Lockheed and Martin, but even on a bigger scale, because it's a lot easier to scale software than it is to scale hardware, if that makes sense. The upgrade that Elon Musk is going to give by like pressing a button for a Tesla, if you pay for an upgrade, is a lot more effective and a lot faster and a lot smoother than an upgrade that you have to go to a legacy company where you upgrade it, you got to drop off your car, and then they have to upgrade your system because you can't just press a button and upgrade your car. You understand what I'm trying to say? And that's why I love Palantir. And that's why I think Palantir is going to make me a multi sevens into the 8-figure return on my investment. I truly do believe that. Now, you guys can hate on me, but I always back up what I'm saying with my data and my reason for thinking. And this article literally personifies everything that I'm saying. It literally backs up everything that I'm saying. Now, this is a really, and again, I don't want to read you the whole article. I don't want to keep this boring, but this is very, very cool. So Karp founded the company with Peter Thiel, and he says that the problem is, look, I think one of the problems in this country is that there's not enough people like Peter and me. We've been fighting about things for 30 years. They're completely polar opposites and running this company tit for tat and making things better. And this is the very important thing that I want you guys to see. Still, they run a company well enough together to consistently secure government contracts around the world, the success of which have led to contracts in private sector with companies like BP, Merck, Sanofi. I'm not going to read any further. Maybe I'll bring up this article in the future. I always tell people like, Adam, all we care about is commercial. We don't care about the government contracts. To this, I say, you have your point of view and I have mine. And this article establishes my point of view. They basically said the government contracts that they have are leading ways to private sector contracts with huge companies. And shout out to my man Ether Squared, who just came up with 299 additional links of possible customers in the private sector. Guys, Palantir is growing in spite of their government contracts, not despite their government contracts. It's because of their government contracts that they're growing. A lot of people hate on the government contracts and think that this should be two completely different businesses. It should not. By keeping the businesses together, you are not limiting the amount of growth that Palantir can do. And a lot of people hate on Dr. Alaex Karp, say he shouldn't be the CEO. Just remember, he started this shit 19 years ago, grew this absolute freaking behemoth. And now this behemoth is evolving into something that nobody ever thought possible. Because they keep getting these banger government contracts is the reason why they're moving forward and getting the commercial contracts. Let me explain to you why. If you're good enough for the highest possible levels of the military within every single branch and sub-branches of the military and other non-military branches of the United States government, then you're obviously going to be good enough for mega cap corporations. What's going to happen next? Within now and the next 10 years, this is going to trickle down not just from mega cap corporations, but huge corporations, large corporations, medium corporations, small corporations, so on and so forth. Guys, thank you so much. Don't forget the likes. Don't forget to share. Don't forget to subscribe. I greatly appreciate all of you. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Go enjoy your family or go make a family.